Could somebody be so kind as to just bring me a glass of water? Tonight's not going easy. Guys, let's make a start, eh? So we're learning tonight the Sikha that the Rebbe said in Toshin on Aleph, Shabbos Tisha B'Av. That year, the fast of Tisha B'Av was a Nitche. It was on Sunday, Yud Menachem Av, as is the din if Shabbos falls out Tisha B'Av. So what occurred is that the Rebbe said part of the Sikha, which is actually a very massive Sikha. It's built of all sorts of, because it's several portions that the Rebbe said, like at different points. They've all been edited together in one, like a wholesome piece. That the Rebbe said part of the Sikha on Shabbos itself, on Shabbos Tisha B'Av. Then, on the fast, which was Sunday, Yud Menachem Av, the Rebbe came in after Mincha, 2 or 3 hours after Mincha. The Rebbe walked into the Beis HaMidrash at about 5:30 or 25 to 6. And very unusually, the Rebbe said a Sikha on the actual Yom HaTainas. And it's well known that it's not so noiheg on Tisha B'Av to say Divrei Torah B'Ravim, but being as it was a pushed off fast, the Rebbe saw within his capability to come in, and he continued the whole theme which he had begun on Shabbos, another portion, quite lengthy portion actually, of the whole Sikha, and then he gave $1 to each person who was in the shul. There were a lot of people in the shul, and also women from the surrounding areas heard that something was going on. They also came, and the Rebbe gave out, after the Sikha, he gave out dollars, and then the Rebbe went up to his office and came back down again for Mariv, and then immediately after Mariv, before people went to eat, to break the fast, the Rebbe said another portion of the Sikha. He added some further remarks by way of like summing up the whole Inyan, so that altogether we have like a massive build together of several times that the Rebbe spoke about the whole Inyan. And that's what occurred. So this evening we're going to learn about that. We're going to learn the main theme points of those Sikhas, Be'ez Hashem. And we're just going to give a brief description tonight. We are learning in the Beis Knesset Chabad Tsfat, and it's Wednesday night, Daled Menachem Av, Toshin Ayin Zayin. So I've been asked, and we're going to follow that practice of just summing up in a few words the whole Inyan, which is a tremendous task, but nonetheless I'll take a go at it. And we can say like this, that that's b'vadai, that every Inyan must have Inyan Toiv Shaboy. That's what the Medrash tells us. And it's Shait Tisha B'Av Miyuchad that Ein Ra Yered No Maila. The Inyan of bad is not really, doesn't come from heaven at all. Bad is what comes out of the improper conduct of the created beings in the world, of the Nivroim in the world, of bad is not shy min hashamayim. In Cain, there must be something inherently toiv in every inyan that would occur. And the Dvorim are bilti ratzuyim, the not good things and not wanted and wished things that accompany anything which appears to be bad, are really only things that man has messed up, but not that they're really the essence of what the Creator really means, of what He really gives us. And so therefore there must be something essentially told in every inyan which occurs in the world and in all the elements and in the whole creation, from the beginning of creation right down to the, as the Gemara says, the beit kinim, the little eggs which are laid by the little, how do you call it, lies that get at a person. It's all the Eibishter, and it's all the Toiv. It must all have mashmas of Toiv. So therefore, mitzvah both of those factors, there must be something essentially good in Tisha B'Av, but that's its real essence when it gets to the ultimate kavanah of the whole creation. And that must be an essentially good thing. So let's examine Tisha B'Av. The Rebbe does it for us. Let's examine Tisha B'Av, and we're going to find an amazing thing happened on Tisha B'Av. Dahainu, that Moshiach was born on Tisha B'Av. The actual coming into life of Melech HaMashiach was on Tisha B'Av. And it's only due to certain factors understandable to ourselves and unknown to us really why he was born, but he didn't actually reveal himself in that generation, and he sort of disappeared. Afterwards, a certain Yidden tried to locate him, but he had sort of gone out of all noticeable approach at that time. And he's been from generation to generation reoccurring, and therefore it's well known, the word of the Chasam Sofer, brought down by the Rebbe also, that in every generation there is actually a neshama, or he is Melech HaMashiach. Just due to factors and inyonim which are so complex, it's not the place to go into them here. For some reason he doesn't have the ability to appear in that generation. But there's going to be a point where he does and will be able to and will actually, b'kol ha'koyach, he will appear. And that's what the message of the Rebbe is, that's what we're holding now. And that's the basis of the Hanocha and the understanding and the belief that the Rebbe is, in effect, Melech HaMashiach. He has all the indications, and he was working so terribly hard that it should actually happen. And so therefore, the Hasidim have come to, I think, which is a very understandably correct conclusion, that the Rebbe is, in effect, linked essentially with the whole Inyan. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about. That's what reappears in the whole unbelievable weaving together of themes that make up this scene. Okay, so everybody's saying, well, there's been enough delays and everything, let's get moving. So here we go. Yomim Eilu, says the Rebbe, Yemei Chodesh O, Hinom Hayomim Haki Matimim Vaki Keshurim Labiyas HaMashiach. These days where we find ourselves now, which are the days of the month of the 5th month of the Jewish year, they are the most appropriate, and they are bound up and involved in the whole inyan of the coming of Moshiach. Therefore, it's a very fitting moment in and around Tisha B'Av, from Rosh Chodesh Melech HaMov and further, that we should await we have to wait for Mashiach the whole time. But we have to expect and wait with a tremendous emphatic waiting in these days. That's what the Rebbe said. Neisav lakach shekol yom kosher l'biyas Mashiach. Apart from the fact, says the Rebbe, that every day is connected with the coming of Mashiach. So why are we saying that Dafki these days are connected? Kenema, as the Rambam has it in the famous 13 principle of Emunah Yisrael, and in principle number 12, the Rambam says that you have to state that you are waiting for Mashiach to come every day. Now the Lashon in the Rambam is Achakeh loi b'chol yom sheyoveh. And it's just of interest because it occurs in numerous siras of the Rebbe, and it's something you might just meet up with. So it's interesting to just inform you about it. You see that expression, Achake loy b'chol yom sheyoveh, there are like two ways that you can read that, or as it were, translated from Lashon Kodesh. We could say that the Achacha loy b'chol yom sheyoveh is referring to the waiter, to the person who is waiting. And therefore he says, Achacha loy b'chol yom. I will wait for him every day, sheyoveh. But whenever he will come, but I don't know when that's going to be, but I will every day, I will do my duty and I will wait for him. Or that's one grammatical way of understanding that expression. Another way of understanding it is to say that it's referring, the expression b'chol yom sheyoveh is referring to Mashiach himself. In other words, I will wait for him every day that he should come, meaning I will wait every day for his coming. In other words, I will assume that every day he's coming. And so there were certain authorities in not all that distant history who they tried to go for the first pshat, and they tried to play down the immediacy and like the tremendous demanding pressure of that statement of the Rambam. And the Rebbe has a whole piece of Nasicha with footnotes, where the Rebbe puts it right, and he says the real pshat in the Rambam is that I will wait that he should come every day. That's what it means. I will wait, but stop that he, Melech Mashiach, should come every day, meaning every day is the day. Ubefrat b'tkufa seinu. He said, how much more so at our particular time and period. Shekol hasimonim. Now this means not just the few days in and around Tisha B'Av, but this is referring to our general tekufa. So he said, Shekol hasimonim moshigim al kach shehine hine Mashiach ba. So the Rebbe, our sages, in various places in Medrash Chazal and in the Gemara, and even it's mashma in the Mishnah at the end of Masechta Soita, and then there's more details given in the Gemara, that all sorts of simonim, which will indicate that that's the time that you must wait every moment for Mashiach to appear. So the Rebbe says that if we take those simonim, then they all indicate that this is the time. All those simonim are actually carrying themselves out in our particular time and period that we're living in. So therefore, this is the time that hine Mashiach ba, or the expression hine Mashiach ba is a present expression. It's in the present. That's saying hine, he's coming, meaning right now he's coming. And that's because of all the simonim and all the inyonim tend to indicate that's what is occurring now. So the Rebbe says, apart from all that, yeshna hadgosha miyuchedes lekach. I mean, all that is very sound, and that is very, very persuasive to conclude that Mashiach is coming in our time. However, he said there's a very special emphasis on all of this, in Chodesh Ov, in the month of Ov, She'olav Nema, Churban Beis Hamikdash, b'Chodesh Ov, Hu Almanaz. It's in a condition, or it's in order that Sheyovei HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'yivnei es Beis Hamikdash b'Chodesh Zeh. Now, what is the Rebbe basing himself here? There's a very famous Yalkut Shimoini in Yirmiyahu. It's one on the Yalkut Shimoini goes on the Chamisha Kum Shater and all the Dvorim of the Nach as well, including the Megillah. And so the Yalkut Shimoini was a gathering together of all sorts of Medrashi Chazal on all the different psukim of the Nach by a very great early person that was Shaykh to this man HaRishoni. And he made this medrash, what he called it Yalkut Shimoini. His name was Shimon, so he called it Yalkut Shimoini. And he had Gisha to all sorts of medrashim, Maimori Chazal, that over the generations it's been hard to find it because of the Golas. There's been a tremendous, loss of all sorts of different manuscripts, but he had approach to many of these manuscripts at his time. Then, over the years of the Golas, they've been lost to us, but they're preserved for us in the Yalkut Shimoini. So there's a very interesting Yalkut Shimoini over there in a pasuk in Yirmi, which it's not a pasuk. It talks in a very figurative way, but it's not a pasuk. It's a language of the Medrash itself, and it says that the Eibishter sent a lion in the month. Well, its muzzle is lion, but that's Chodesh Ov, to destroy the lion, and the lion means the Mizbeach, because the Mizbeach was called Ariel. It's called in certain places, in the words of the Nevi'im, the Mizbeach in the Beis Hamikdash is called Ariel. So what this Medrash is doing is building on the word Aryeh and using it in all sorts of different ways, but again to the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And Nebuchadnezzar, Yamach Shemoi, he's called the Aryeh, the first one. He's the Aryeh, that he came in the month that the muzzle is Aryeh, and he destroyed Ariel, meaning the Beis Hamikdash, specifically the Mizbeach. And then the Medrash says, Almanaz, in order that Yom Aryeh, and that's referring to the Eivishter. Aryeh is referring to the Eivishter. He will come also in the Chodesh HaChamishi, Vayivne Aryeh, and he's going to build the Mizbeach. That's what's written in the Medrash. So we see that the Medrash says an amazing thing, that the whole Churban, the whole destruction of Ariel by Nebuchadnezzar in the muzzle of Aryeh was only in order that, Almanaz, in order that he should come eventually, the Eivishter, the emissary Aryeh, he should come and he should build in the month of Av, which is Aryeh, and he should build the Beis Hamikdash. As they state, it's an amazing, it's like a prophetic statement on the part of the Yalkut Shimoini. And then it says, Shanema, there's a pasuk in Yirmiyah, a further pasuk, and it says, V'hofachti evelom lesosain, I will reverse the mourning into joy and into rejoicing. This is what Yirmiyah, this is a pasuk in Yirmiyah. So the Rebbe learns from them. The Rebbe's got a whole piece in Masicha, but they don't go into it so much because there's so much that they want to sort of try and keep a bit of brevity in order to cover all the ground. Now what the Rebbe says over there is we see that the whole destruction is conditional. That Hashem only allowed the destruction in order that he's going to come personally and see that it all be rebuilt. And so with that, the Rebbe answers another place a very amazing question. How come the Eibishter had the right beklal to destroy the Beis Hamikdash? You're not allowed to take even a chip off the stones of the Mizbeach. As how come the Eibishter took away the whole Beis Hamikdash? So the answer is that he didn't. He did it in order to make a bigger one. Ultimately, that's the amazing way that the Rebbe approaches the whole thing. So therefore the Rebbe said the whole thing of the Churban on the part of the Aliyah was al manas sheyobe according that's he's there as the Aliyah. Yeah, v'yivne Beis Hamikdash b'chodesh zeh in this month of Menachem. V'lochein, says the Rebbe, noyagim likroi l'chodesh zeh b'shem Menachem. Therefore we call it Menachem. Kedei lahadgish shekol ma she'ira b'chodesh zeh, everything that happened in this month, Yisapik Latoiv, Alidei Nechomata Hagiula. And in other words, that we use the word Menachem in order to show that really this month, just like it was made in order for there to be the destruction there, it's also going to be the exact same point that the Eibishter are going to come back and rebuild. That's why we call it Menachem. And the Rebbe said that the custom is not to say Av Menachem, but the custom is to say Menachem O. In other words, we put the Menachem before the O. In other words, that the Ike Kavanah of everything is the Nechoma. And that's what is the ultimate and Ike aim. And that rules over everything that Av implies. So you have Menachem O. And then the Rebbe adds very quickly, and he's going to bring it down again later in a little more detail, but the Rebbe adds a very interesting thing. It's written in the Kisvei Arizal. It's written twice actually, but it's written more explicitly in the Shara Kavonis, but again to Tisha B'Av, that why do we say on Tisha B'Av afternoon, Nechoma and everything, on Tisha B'Av in the afternoon when they burnt, that's when the Ika Tzorah occurred. Yet we come in and we sit on benches already and we say, P'suke Nechoma. So the Arizal said, because that's really a good and augureous time which is going to overcome all the things that happened then. And one of the reasons he gives is because at that time, Noilod Mashiach Shal Yisrael. And Noilod Melech HaMashiach. As they described the Rabbeinu Chaim Vital, B'Shem Arizal, that after late in the afternoon, that's when Moshiach was born, on Tisha B'Av. So his name happens to be Menachem. And the Rebbe writes it in the Sikha. He says that the name of Melech Moshiach is Menachem. It's in the Sikha. And that's why we say Menachem O. Because that's really the real and ultimate kavanah. That there should be the tachlis of what the whole creation is for. Tahainu, the Yemois HaMashiach. Kamuhu and Tanya, Perek Lamed Vav. So, how do you say it? You wanted it, so you got it, you guys. You already got the whole Gula Shleim and the whole Menachem O, everything all summed up in a few words. Oh, it's very interesting what the Arizal writes over there. And the Rebbe once brought down this whole quote from the Shara Kavanas, and the Rebbe apparently smiled at the Farbrengen. He said he doesn't know if many people keep the Shara Kavanas in their bookshelves. You know, he says people think it's sort of highfalutin, you know, to buy Sifrei Kabbalah. So he said, I'm quoting a Shara Kavanas. He said, I don't know if many people got it on their bookshelves. That's what the Rebbe said. But from that will be an indication that maybe it's kedai to make sure you do have on your bookshelf. Easy job. Particularly if you live in Tzfat. Anyway,
so
but it's something brief because I've got to press ahead. You follow? I can't hear a word he's saying.
So what is your question?
All right. So, says the Rebbe, if we take all the days of the month, then Tisha B'Av Koshu Humatim B'Miyuchad L'Beis HaMashiach. The Rebbe said of all the days of the month, they're all Menachem for the reasons we gave, but the Rebbe says that Tisha B'Av is the most, fitting and appropriate one for this whole reaching of finality of the whole creation that should occur. Mesucha, we're told a story. Once again, this story is in a medrash, but this time it's a medrash rabbah, and he said we're told that B'yom boi nechel Beis HaMikdash, in the day that the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, they bring it here. I'll bring it the way I think it's written in the medrash, but maybe I'm slightly mistaken. But it's written that Gosa Parosai, that he called a cow, or that he called a female cow, made a very deep, moo. Yeah, a very deep moo. I don't quite remember what the word is in English for that noise. A very deep sort of sigh on the part of this cow. But and as far as I understand, the cow actually belonged to an Arabi. It was actually the cow of a goy. And a Yid happened to be walking past. He was on his way, and he walked past the field of this Arabi. Yeah, and he, the cow was standing in the field of the Arab, and this cow made a terrible, mournful moo, you know. So he said to the Arab, yeah, what is that? Why would your cow just out of nowhere, why would it make a noise like that? So he says, Kasher Sha'ala Yehudi es Shchenoi HaGoy. Yeah, and I don't think he was necessarily shocking. It could be. Maybe I haven't seen the medrash for a while, so maybe I got it wrong. But anyway, he says, he asked the Goy, Lepesha Hador, you know, what's the explanation of this inyan? Onaloi, yeah, and the Goy said, Ki Hagio, yeah, Bapam Rishoina, but that's the first time he heard it make a noise. Hoyaso Mikivan Shenechro Beis HaMikdash. Oh, he said, you should know that your Beis HaMikdash has been destroyed. So the Yid was in a terrible matter, and then they waited a few minutes, and then the cow made another, kashrei, a second time, and he asked him, what is that? He said, Ve'ilu Ashniyo, they're calling out the second time on the part of the cow, that the Arab, he said to him, that so there's a whole hemshech over there that this year wasn't a battling, you understand? And he said if Moshiach Shal Yisrael has been born, it must be a child that has been born now when the cow made this cry. So he ran into some near shchuna or something like that, and he found a lady who had just given birth to a son. Yeah, and she was, if I'm not mistaken, she was from the royal family. She was something to do with Chizkiyahu HaMelech, and this was like a Hinikel or something. That's a little bit not clear, but he was somebody very special, this child. So he said, listen, when did you, she said, just now, I gave birth to this child. So he believed firmly that this was Melech HaMashiach. And so he said, I'm going to go and get help, you know, get people to come and we'll welcome Melech HaMashiach, you know, and if you don't mind, you know, we'd like to have some say as to how the child gets brought up and so on. So he went away looking for people, and when they came back, she had disappeared, and so had the child. And no matter how much they looked around, they couldn't find him. Anyway, that's the story. So the Rebbe said, okay, here we have a clear description.
What was this?
we have a clear description that on the moment following the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, the moment following that was the birth and the coming into the world of the neshama of Melech HaMashiach. So there was the Rebbe Imkain. There's no more fitting moment than the Gula Shlema to come to all the descendants of all the Yidden should come on Tisha B'Av, because that's the day that Moshiach himself was born. So what could be more fitting? Yodua, it's well known. Shebiyoyim ha'iladato shel ha'odam mazol higoyva. It's a Yerushalmi. It's written in the Yerushalmi that the day that you're born, your birthday, your mazel, everybody's got a mazel. Now I'm not going to go into all the protein, but that would take quite a bit of time. But we have like a sort of shoyrish of our neshama, Lamaila, and that is a hashpoah on us, like you do in our Baal Shem Tov and so on. So therefore, he said on the day that you were born, your birthday, when it comes round, then there's a very special, massive effort on the part of your shoyrish neshama to be mashpia into your ruchnias and to improve your life. So therefore he said, if that happens to everybody, then for sure it must happen to also to Melech HaMashiach. That on that day, is Mazalei Gova, on Tisha B'Av. V'im Kain, beyond Tisha B'Av, Mizgaba Mazalei Shel Melech HaMashiach. The actual Mazal, Melech HaMashiach, is working with tremendous power to be mashpia on him. Lochein Omer Arizal. And that's why the Arizal said, She'oimrim b'Tisha B'Av es tfilas nachem, and like we said, Pesukei Nechoma, darker Tisha B'Av in the afternoon, Kivan she'oz noilad HaMashiach shenikra Menachem. Here the Rebbe he mentioned a brief before, he just hinted at it, and here he mentions it in a bit more detail. And that's got a very close connection with the fact that we're only a day away from the Yortide of the Arizal. Tomorrow night is already the Yortide of the Arizal. So Yortide is also a very important time. I don't know if it's Mazolei Goha, exactly like the Yom HaLedas, but it's a very significant aliyah of the neshama, etc., etc. Mailas niflois eilu, said the Rebbe, are these tremendously elevated supremacies, akayomis b'kol Tisha B'Av, are there, and they exist on every Tisha B'Av. Einam nidochim kamuvan gam kasher Tisha B'Av yechal b'Shabbat. So the Rebbe is concerned here now by another very delicate child. Let's say that Tisha B'Av comes out Shabbat. So what do we say? There's no Tisha B'Av on Shabbos. Everything is put off until Yom Rishon. Ain't Tisha B'Av for Shabbos. Like the famous statement has it, Nidche, and in the Mishnah, and Rabbeinu Kodesh, Rabbi Yehuda Moshe, he said, given the itche, since it's been pushed off, that we don't fast anymore on that year. That's his opinion. We don't hold that way, but that's what Rebbe holds. So therefore, says the Rebbe, if that's the case, maybe everything connected with Tisha B'Av is pushed away, and there's no Tisha B'Av. So the birthday of Mashiach would also get, as it were, put off until Sunday. So the Rebbe said, that's not at all sensible. That doesn't make any sense to say that such a positive thing like the birth of Moshiach Shabbos would push it away. On the contrary, the very Metzias of Shabbos should be Makarav, something so tremendously elevated and preciously preserve it and give it a Shabbos mashmoed. So what does Imkain Shabbos push away? Only the negative aspects, things that we don't like on Shabbos, we don't allow them on Shabbos, self-affliction and things of that nature. But the pnimis inyonim and the inyonim ha'toivim v'amo'ilim al-pi ha'kedusha that are shayach Tisha B'Av, Shabbos doesn't push them away. On the contrary, Shabbos elevates them and gives them a shining state that they don't have on a weekday when it comes out, Tisha B'Av. So that's what he says. Einam nidochesh kemuvan, gam kasher Tisha B'Av chal b'Shabbos, k'may b'shon zu, lahefa, on the contrary, rachatzoyim v'tainas nidochim, only the difficult and unpleasant aspect of the tzom are pushed away. Ve'ilu b'Tisha B'Av atzmai shechal b'Shabbos nishorim rachamaylas leidas haMoshiach b'yom zeh. So the Rebbe said it's kilo. What happens to the actual day of Tisha B'Av and Shabbos? It gets like split into two like entities. And the difficult and unpleasant entities, they're pushed off till Sunday. They have no place until. Over the good aspects and the great miles, on the contrary, Shabbos takes them and elevates them and makes them something even more significant than in the weekdays. And so that's the inyam. Says the Rebbe, what is the big pneumistic in that we found out now is in Tisha B'Av? What's the big positive and central kedusha in Tisha B'Av? The fact that Moshiach was born, in particular that Moshiach is he's the kavanah of the whole bria. And so he was born on Tisha B'Av. That's an unbelievable milah. So he said, Shabbos is not going to push that away. He said, Magam. He said, further, we can also argue that Shabbos Tisha B'Av nikrat b'shem Shabbos Chazon. How much more so this becomes real when it's well known that based on the Haftarah of Chazon Yeshayahu, that's the beginning of so that Shabbos is called Shabbos Chazon. And it's well known, the famous Torah from the Reb Levi Yitzchak Berdichua, that the Reb Hillel Paricher, he was once in a town that had been under the influence of Reb Levi Yitzchak. He wasn't the Rav, he was the Rav in Berdichua. But this was another shtetl. But he had visited there on certain occasions and had a big ashpah on that city. So when Reb Hillel came to that city, he asked some of the Londisher guys there if they could tell him anything in the name of the Berdichua. So they gave him over this thing and they said, why is it called Shabbos Chazon? The word Chazon is an Aramic term for seeing. It's like showing you something. On Shabbos Chazon, Hashem shows to every year the Beis HaMikdash. You follow? And he put a whole. Everybody sees in Ruknias, L'cholapochis, the Beis HaMikdash, and he brought a whole marshal about a father who had a son that he loved. He had an only son, and he bought him a beautiful suit. You know the whole story. And he told him to be very careful with it, and unfortunately he wasn't careful, and he got it all grubby and messed up and everything. So the father took the suit away from him, and he cleaned it up and everything, but he kept it away from the son. So the son said he would like it back. So the father said, only if you look after it very carefully, which he undertook to do. So he gave it back. However, after a long period of time, things didn't work out so well. So the Eibusher took the suit back, and he said to the son, only when I will be convinced that you are going to go only b'derech toiv. And how am I going to know that? When I see that it's become like your nature, it's gone right into your teva, that you are only al-tzad toiv. He said that I'll give it back to you, and hopefully I'll never have to take it away again. That was the Moshe, the Berdichua. So the Rebbe brings inside the Sikha that the Rebbe says that it's a very unusual thing, the moshel of a lavush. Because the Beis HaMikdash is not a lavush. The Beis HaMikdash is what we call bayit. There are two levels, lavush and bayit. So both of them are makivim. A lavush is a makiv, and so is a bayit. but a levush is what we call a makif hakarov. The ilu habayis is what's called a makif harachok. It's a greater and much deeper level in makif. So if he wants to give a moshel about the Beis Hamikdash, he should have given a moshel about a house. Instead he gives a moshel about a levush. So the Rebbe answers an amazing terms over there inside the Sikha. I should have to cough a bit more. It's and the Rebbe says that the great milah of a levush is that it's more fitting to the order. And so what the Rabbi Yitzchak Bedicho means to say is that the Eibishter has a special Rachmanis on Yidden, and the Madriga, which is really a tremendous market, the Madriga bias, he makes it in such a way that they can really get close to it in the form of lavush, and they can bring it down even though it's a market that you can't really read, but they can reach it, especially through the Eibishter's very special Rachmanis on Yidden. And therefore he gave a moshel from a lavush, even though the Emerson moshel is really a bayit. And that means that you've got a chance because Hashem brings everything close to you, even though it's incomparably higher and greater than just being close. So therefore, said the Rebbe, that means that on every Shabbos Chazon, everybody sees, all the Yidden see, they have a vision of the Beis Hamikdash. But Shabbos zu marim l'kol echad es Beis Hamikdash mirachei. Kach שללא סופק גילוי המשיח מודגש במיוחד ביום זה. So therefore said the Rebbe, you can't possibly say that Shabbos would push that away, because that is the whole union of the Bria. That's why the whole world was created. In other words, that we bring Moshiach and the Beis Hamikdash to a vision of every year, we couldn't possibly say that Shabbos pushes that away. That doesn't make any sense to say such a thing. ניתן לראות את הדגושת הגאולה בעובדה. So the Rebbe, we see another aspect, and like I said, this is tremendously complex seeker, and it runs from Inyan to Inyan. So the Rebbe says that we can see another emphasis on the whole Inyan of Geula on Tisha B'Av, and B'Meila, to Shabbos Tisha B'Av in a very positive way. Shabbos Tisha B'Av, if we look carefully, when Tisha B'Av falls out on Shabbos, not only that we don't fast, he said, Ella, Av mitzvah le'aneges ha-Shabbos b'achila v'shtia. You have to eat posh things just like you eat on Shabbos. And the Rebbe makes a suggestion in the Sikha that maybe you have to have even more on a Shabbos. Maybe you have to have, and of course, more posh wine and more posh food and everything on Shabbos Chazon that comes out the Tisha B'Av Mamis. He said that you do all the other Shabbos of the year. However, we see that it's exactly the opposite of Tisha B'Av. You have to be ma'aneg the achila shtia kiloima. לא יזו בבד שהדברים השליליים שישנם בתשע באב נידוחים, the negative or difficult things of Tisha B'Av are pushed away, אלא אדרבה, יש מצווה לשמוח באכילת בשר שומן ובשתיית יין יושר. On the contrary, there's a in to add to the simcha in achila shtia. Oh, Mele, come to us that that's like the exact opposite and complete antithesis of what Tisha B'Av is all about. So he said, "V'asibel lechaki, the mekivan sheyom tzom." Oh, so the Rebbe said everything must have a beer. Why is it that the din comes out like that? That on Shabbos, which occurs on Tisha B'Av, which occurs on Shabbos, you have to eat, and there has to be a greater emphasis on the simcha and the tainug of the achila than an ordinary Shabbos. So he said The reason for that is that every Inyan has a Panemius, and the Panemius of every Inyan is a very special message in Kedusha. So he says, Yom Tzom Uba Panemiusai Yom Rotzen Lashem. Really a fast day, whenever Yidden fast, that's how do you call it? A augureous day. And like it's brought down in Yirmiyahu, that he said, Hayim Zeh Yom Rotzen Lashem, meaning he doesn't see people behaving properly, but it should really be a Yom Rotzen Lashem. V'lochein, B'geula Yahochu Yomim Elo Liyamei Sosen V'simcha. Here the Rebbe makes a point that you can't, something which is essentially evil and essentially bad, you can't be mahabit that to something good. You follow? That can't work. To something of sosan v'simcha, if it's essentially a bad thing. Or since B'pnimius, every fast is really a dover tov, that's really a very elevated pnimius, it's hidden in it. Therefore, the Yosit Obri, all we're going to do is reveal the pnimius. We're not going to really change the etzem essence. And when we say Yehovku, we only mean to our observation of in the etzem pnimius of the Indian, you're not really changing anything. You're only revealing, then bringing out the emes pnimius, which is there. So he said, since every tzom is really a pnimius of a very, very augurate and high day for Hashem, therefore he said, Lamroisha B'zman Hazeh, Tzamim B'Tisha B'Av, even though the truth is that now in the Golas, we fast on Tisha B'Av, Avoseh Rak B'Yamaisa Achol, that's only if it comes out on the weekdays. He said, V'ilu Kasher Chal Yom Zeh B'Shabbat, when it comes out on Shabbos, since its pnimius is really very good, what happens? As I nidochim kol ha'inuyim, how do you call inuyim? Afflictions. All the afflictions are put away. Or b'Shabbos ashma, on the Shabbos itself, nisha avarach ha'teiv ha'pnimius shebiyom zeh, or the good and the essential wondrousness that's hidden in that day comes out on Shabbat. He said, that when we eat the final Suda of Shabbat, but that's the Suda Shlishiyat, and that's called the Suda Mafsekes. That's really like a Suda Mafsekes. He said, that's Shura L'Geula, or a Beis Hamikdash Shlishi. Or that day, because it's pushed away all the inyanim, and so therefore every inyan and pnimi is much more b'hat kosher, and since one of the inyanim of those pnimiyas implies that you should eat and be happy with your eating, therefore you have to eat a very special way at that moment when the good is really being emphasized very powerfully, and that's at the time of Noilat Moshiach, and that's at the time of the Suda Shlish, yes. That's at the time of the Suda Hamav Secher. So, we're going to get some picture as to what's going on here. So then the Rebbe says another very amazing thing. And he says that really Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur have a very allied link, and they're very similar one to the other. And he said, it's obvious, if you look, it's written in the Gemara, brings it down in Masechet Pesachim and other places, that there's really no difference between Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. All the other fasts, the other 4 fasts that we fast, they're not Minat Torah, they're only Midrabanan, or they're only by day. And they have certain lighter aspects. Of Yom Kippur, but it's Midoraisa, it's Bein B'Layla, Bein B'Yom, and it's a very complete and strict fast. So the Rabbanan were Geizer, the Tisha B'Av is also the same. you fast by night, and the Gemara says over there in Masechta Pesachim that there's no difference between the night of Yom Kippur and the night of Tisha B'Av. But again, to the fasting, it's all the same, halacha. As in came, we see that Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av are very similar. So since they're similar in the way that they function, then we have to say that in their panemias, they also have a very marked similarity. So the Rebbe said, where do we find it that in the panemias they have a marked similarity? He said that Yom Kippur is called a Yontov in the Gemara. Nobody would call Tisha B'Av a Yontov. Only in a borrowed sort of way we call it a Yontov, but again, a Tachna. So the Rebbe says a most amazing thing. He said the Mishnah says at the end of Masechta Tainis that there were no days to the Yidden like Tu B'Av or Yom Kippurim. Chamish also B'Av or Yom Kippurim, that they were tremendously special. Lo'yihoyu Yomim Tovim Lo'Yisrael. There weren't festivals and wonderful days like Chamish also B'Av and Yom Kippurim. First of all, Chamish also B'Av, and afterwards Yom Kippurim. So the Rebbe says Chamish also B'Av and Tisha B'Av are linked together very, organically linked together. Because if you look in the Gemara, the Gemara says that one of the Ikar reasons why Tu B'Av is a very special day is because through that, on Tu B'Av, they understood that it stopped dying. All the people who had to die in the desert, they really stopped dying on Tisha B'Av of it, because it was a cloudy time and there was a bit of a misunderstanding and they weren't sure if it was this day or another day that they stopped or how. It only became clear a few days later that the whole Gezerah had finished. And there were other reasons. They thought that maybe since they missed out on a day, people might still die another day or two further. After several days had gone through, and it became Milu Halavona, and it became Chamisha also B'Av, then it was clear that the whole Gezerah had finished. Chamisha also B'Av is only a gilui of what really Tisha B'Av achieved. They stopped dying on Tisha B'Av. Chamisha also B'Av is only like the gilui of what Tisha B'Av is really about. And so the Rebbe said, Kuntais, that Chamisha also B'Av and Tisha B'Av are really linked together. And the Chamisha also B'Av is a very high medium and a messenger of what Tisha B'Av is really about. So he says, and yet nonetheless it says that there were great Yom Tovim like that he could Chamish also B'Av and Yom Kippurim. So since Chamish also B'Av is really Tisha B'Av, then it's a sign that the Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av are the same. So the Rebbe says that about eating on Yom Kippur, we eat on Erev Yom Kippur, the Gemara says in Masechta Yuma that whoever eats, and he eats a lot, on Erev Yom Kippur, then it's like he fasted on Erev Yom Kippur and on Yom Kippur. There's a simon that it's a very elevated and very tremendously special type of eating, that it's called like you're not eating, you're really fasting. But that's a simon of something very tremendous elevation in Ruchniah. So the Rebbe said we could say that when Tisha B'Av comes out on Shabbos, that everybody who eats on Erev Tisha B'Av, he does it with all the pomp and splendor that he can do, Dafka, when it comes out on Shabbos, then he is like as if he fasted both then and also he gets reckoned in the Shemayim. That's a very special and powerful type of form of eating, and that will bring and be makara that we should actually see, and that's the Maila of Yom Kippur, that Yom Kippur is called Achas, Peshona, one and only point of the year, and the word Achas, according to Tosfos, in Masechta Menachos, refers to the Neshama, which is called Yechida. That's what Tosfos said. So we're talking about Achas, is very high matter. Achas V'shonot Yom Kippur, meaning that that's when your Yechida Shebenefesh gets revealed. Avamela Simon that on Tisha B'Av, which comes out on Shabbos, when you have to polish off and eat, the Gemara says a fila, a sort of like Shlomo Melech used to make when he was at the height of his reign. You have to, you're allowed, not only you're allowed, but it's praiseworthy to eat such a suda on Shabbos Tisha B'Av in the afternoon. That's it's like you're eating a very special eating, and you're bringing down the Iniv and Achas B'Shona in a way of Hashem Echad, Ushmoi Echad, Shiyeh Begiloi Amitis Geula, Amitis V'Ashleima, Teichem Yad Mami. So, and the Rebbe says that you have to learn more, and you have to give a lot of tzedakah, and you have to do all sorts of ma'asim tevim in these days, and you have to make a peak for bringing on Tu B'Av, make on Tu B'Av a big Farbrengen, and you should make it public in all the places that they must add in studying Torah, and you must gather together even people who don't appear to be so involved. You must get them and give them over the message that through that it's going to be the Geula for the whole world, and especially the Jewish people, and B'mela through that the whole world. And that's the union of the three things of Torah B'Beit, of Gemilus Ksodim, Tziyam B'Mishpat, Tipodeh, B'Shoveya B'Tzedakah, and especially to make siyumim. But I see that, was that a siyum that he was making?
No.
Because when I came in, everybody was listening very intently. What was it, a siyum?
No, I was talking about the temple.
Anyway, whatever. The Rebbe said that you must make siyum. So I understand that tomorrow there's going to be a siyum, yeah? So
not this year.
I've done what I could to try and indicate to you the amazing massivity of these sikhs. What we've dealt with is only a portion, but I've tried to give the profundity of how the Rebbe builds together the concepts. But there's certain concepts which are hidden in the words here, like I tried to develop on them. And it's, you see this amazing, you just sort of, you're mind boggled, it's not forget human, it's not human power. It's something beyond altogether. Philip Plus, here we are. So we don't have Shabbos Tisha B'Av, we have Tisha B'Av, and it's got it's the birthday of Mashiach. Let's have it not just his birthday, but his day of Yom HaHizkalas, just like the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov was born on Chayel, and he was Migaleh on Chayel. And so let's see Mashiach do the same. Inverted commas trick, that on his birthday he should be Mishkale. Le'ene Kobasa Tegev Umiyad Mami.
It's like a 12 month